All my life, I have loved movies. They have been a real source of pleasure for me. And among the movies that I have really loved are The Godfather, Wizard of Oz, and one of the highlights of my adolescence was when I saw Jaws. But as wonderful as movies are, movies have always been just entertainment for me. No movie that I've seen has really changed me, changed my heart, changed my behavior, except for one. And I saw this movie in the early 1990s. And when I saw this movie, it really stunned me. And I was just taken by its power. So I kept on seeing it over and over again. I saw it something like 23, 24, 25 times. It became a compulsion for me to see this movie. Well, part of the mix was, at that time, I had returned to the Catholic Church. And for the first time, I was establishing a relationship with Jesus. And this movie, of all things, was a Clint Eastwood movie. It was a Western called Unforgiven. The plot is about violence that gets out of control and just can't be stopped. The very first scene of the movie is a horrific act of violence. And then the people react to it by getting very angry, very resentful, and they start plotting revenge. They start instituting their revenge. And no one in the film forgives another person in the film. No one forgives each other. And then the violence just starts escalating and escalating. It just gets worse and worse and worse until at the end, it is utter chaos. It is destruction. Everybody loses. Each time I saw this film, though, what came to me was this person in my life that I simply couldn't forgive. And this was just an accepted in my life that I wouldn't forgive this person. I would be angry with them basically forever. But this movie, though, because of its impact on me, had me take a look at that. And I just saw where this was going. And I felt this resentment in my heart. If I kept this unforgiveness in my heart, it was obvious that it would just get worse and it would eventually just devolve into chaos in my life. And the first reading from the book of Sirach really captures this very well. It says, "Wrath and anger are hateful things, and the sinner hugs tight to them." And that was me. I was that sinner hugging tight to those negative feelings. But also, I was now a new Christian. And because I was a new Christian, and I was really trying to be serious about following Jesus, I knew that Jesus was about forgiveness. And then I just didn't want to be a hypocrite if I was following Jesus. But another good thing that was happening as I was a new Christian was I was learning to pray for the first time. And I took advantage of it, and I went to Jesus, and I just got on my knees, and I said, "Jesus, please help me with this. Help me with this very difficult situations. Please help me to forgive this person. Help me to forgive this person from my heart." And it was a combination then of both the power of this movie and my new relationship with Jesus that I made the decision that I would reach out to this person. So I did that. I contacted this person. I made an appointment to see them. And as you can imagine, a meeting like this is very delicate. I mean, I came scared. This person came scared as well. They didn't know what to expect, rightfully so. But I said the most powerful words. I said, "I forgive you." And when I said that, this person was so grateful, so relieved. And for me, I just felt free. I really did. Because now when I looked into the future, I didn't see chaos, but I saw possibilities. And Morgan Freeman made this quote, which just captures this very well. He said, "Holding a grudge does not make you strong. It makes you bitter. Forgiving doesn't make you weak. It sets you free." And I know this because through the grace of God, I was living this out through the power of this movie and through Jesus Christ. And that just really helped, knowing that Jesus was about forgiveness. And that's what the gospel reading is about today. It's about Jesus saying that as followers of him, we must forgive. However, what Jesus does is what he always does. He just ratchets things up to a very radical level. Because in Jesus' time, the Jewish practice was that you forgive 3 times, and that was it, 3 times. The 4th time, they were out of luck. You didn't have to forgive them anymore. And so that's why Peter says to Jesus, how many times should I forgive my brother, Lord? Can I forgive him 7 times? Well, Peter is very proud of himself because he's doing double forgiveness plus 1. But Jesus tells them, no, you're not to forgive your brother 7 times, but 77 times. 77 times is the Jewish way of saying always, without limit. So what Jesus is saying is that we are to forgive our brother and sister always, without limit. So in my situation with that person that I forgave, if this person hurt me again, Jesus is saying I'm supposed to go back and forgive them. And then if this person hurts me again and again, I'm supposed to forgive. Now, needless to say, this is very difficult. And with this type of talk, I know that it's very difficult as well because there's just some things that are just incredibly hard to forgive. I mean, almost impossible to forgive. I mean, I don't minimize that. But there are things like perhaps a divorce or infidelity, abuse, a criminal act of violence. I mean, all these things are super hard to forgive of another person. They're profoundly hard to forgive. But that's exactly what Jesus is saying, is that we do need to forgive. But fortunately, Jesus doesn't leave it at that. Jesus says we can come to him for help. Because Jesus knows the human heart. Jesus knows the profound message of that Clint Eastwood movie, which is, unless we forgive, that resentment just really grows in our heart. And it is guaranteed to get worse and worse, and eventually it's going to lead to chaos in our lives. So that's why Jesus is saying that we need to forgive everyone, every time. And he gives us the solution. He does. In the very last line of the gospel that we heard, he says that we have to forgive our brothers and sisters from our heart. And that's what I did with his help, with his grace. In that situation when I need to forgive that person, I was able to forgive them from my heart. But I couldn't do it on my own. I had to do it with Jesus' help. And that's the key right there. If we try to do it on our own, try to continually forgive on our own, it's just very difficult, if not impossible. But with Jesus' help, by asking him to come and help us, we can lean on him. He helps us to he helps us to forgive from our heart every time. And it's something that we have to do, because as the film, the Clint Eastwood film proves, and I think is very true, unless we forgive, there's just going to be nothing but continual chaos in our lives. But if we forgive, continually forgive, Jesus will be with us, and our future will have limitless possibilities. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.